Good morning. It's actually a beautiful and very hot morning where I am. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit to you about pencils. I'm going to talk to you about pencil drawing, and I'm going to talk to you about the very basics of it. We're going to cover a few things. We're going to cover the pencil itself, right? We're going to cover the paper and the kind of paper. We are going to cover paper size. We are going to cover topic. I have flowers here today. That's not necessarily my topic always. And we're going to go and cover a little bit about what do you do after that? Because what we are going to discuss today, if you want to talk in music terms, equates a lot to practicing your scales. That's what we're going to do now, right? We are going to learn to play our scales. You don't want to play your scales all your life. Eventually, you want to do something else with it, right? You want to play some music, beautiful music. You want to compose some music potentially. So we're gonna blast through the extreme basics to just get you comfortable to start playing and to make you understand how you eventually can get to the place where you can design or create or imagine your own drawing. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the pencils. In essence, if you really wanted to, you can work with one pencil, really. You can. This is what is called an HB. Anywhere apart from North America, it's called a number 2 in North America. It's your middle of the range pencil, and if you wanted to, you could make an entire drawing with this, and that would be fine. You can achieve wonderful things, though, if you're willing to get a little bit more. I'm going to show you. What I have here is a 4H, a 2H, an HB, a 2B, and a 4B. Easiest way to remember, H is for hard. So this is my hardest pencil, my 4H, then 2B, HB, 2H, where was I? 4H, 2H, HB, 2B, 4B, this is the softest pencil. What's the difference? Why do I care? And by the way, I skipped the numbers because it would take forever if I took you through them all. They go in a much wider range and they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me show you, and I'm going to use exactly the same pressure. If I say this is the 4H, right? This is the 2H. This is the HB. See what happens? This is the 2B. This is the 4B. And I did, just for the hell of it, put a 6B in here. This is the 6B. So you can see already there's a huge difference, right? There's another difference. Not much happens if I do that with that one. Watch what happens if I do that with this one. See how it smudges? It's because it's a lot softer. It's a lot softer, so you can do a lot more with it, or you can ruin your your picture as far as you know. However, if you are willing to get a little bit of a range of pencil, you can achieve a lot more. So I'm going to play a little bit with these pencils just to explain it to you. That's as far as pencils are concerned. If I talk about paper, what you see here in front of you is just a piece of printing paper. For demonstration purposes, that is going to be absolutely fine. You can pick any paper you want. Pencil is very forgiving that way. I wouldn't advise that necessarily. There are a few key things about paper. You want your paper to be non-acidic. It's the most important bit that you can take home from here is get it non-acidic. If paper is non-acidic, what it means is it doesn't disintegrate as badly as paper that has acidic content, okay? And this plain printing paper has acidic content. It's just plain. It's going to decay. Try and get non-acidic. This is just for demonstration. It doesn't really matter, but try. After you get non-acidic, you can go any which way you like. If you just go with what you like. go a little bit thicker so that it's a bit more robust. But after that, you can choose whether you want smooth, whether you want textured, whether you want nothing. It's it's all gonna impact how your drawing looks, and you're gonna find that out by doing a bit of discovery. So just play, just play. And I would suggest you get yourself something very small at the beginning, really small like this. This is just a little notebook. Number one, it's not as intimidating, and number two, it's a small mistake to make, right? If you decide in the end you don't like this. This is just a little visual diary of mine. It's very old, but to give you an idea, here, for instance, I was doing, I was sitting with friends at a lake, and there were these tree roots that I was sketching. And you'll see trees being a constant theme. But that's why this size little notebook is perfect for just going around noting down things. Now, I'm talking about laying down tree roots. I've got a flower here. How does that work? It works because that is how you start practicing your scales, right? You don't start practicing your scales by trying to draw up something for yourself. You can, I guess. You of course can. You can draw from imagination. But if you really want to fine-tune and hone your skill, you've got to start somewhere like this. Okay. The next thing is topic. Let's just quickly talk topic. I've got a flower here. Flowers are not what I draw on a daily basis, but it's the easiest one to give to you here. My thing is trees. But let me talk still life. In other words, this is a still life. And this is going to stay like this for the duration of this talk, because the light coming in from the window is constant and the other overhead light is constant. Not true? Yes. That makes it very convenient for you to draw. If you go outside and you draw a tree or you draw a plant, bear in mind that the light's going to change, the shadows are going to change, and that's going to get confusing after a while. It's huge fun to do. I've done it for years and years and years. It's total fun to do. It does mean you have to draw pretty fast. Then you get to things like people. That's even faster because they move. Architecture, shadows change. So the easiest thing to start with really is a still life like this, but it doesn't have to be this, right? I mean, you can draw, I've got here a tree root, my favorite. I love tree roots. I love playing with them. I love getting images from them, and we'll talk about that later. You can draw rocks, you can draw feathers, anything that you can get to sit still for a while. If your cat sleeps long enough, why not your cat? Let me give you an idea. This is, let me peel it off. This is a pineapple. It's one of the first things I drew when I really seriously started practicing drawing. I've drawn all my life, but this was when I really started looking into it, and I did a purely line drawing of a pineapple. Because a pineapple sits there, it's got a lot of lines, and it's challenging to draw. You can draw anything to learn. This pineapple taught me a truckload. So, still life, easiest thing to learn at the beginning. You don't have to stay there, but it's the easiest thing to learn. You can later go into people. This was on a train in Belgium. And as you can see, you have to draw very fast. The next stop is coming up. The guy moves his head. Plus, I didn't want to put his face in it. He didn't know I was drawing him. This was a bird. Even faster, because they keep moving. Trust you me. This was out in the bush. Very, very quick drawing. Because you can't go too far, and it was too hot in any case. This was on a cloudy day, so I could spend a little bit more time outside that day. It was cloudy and it was snowy. I was in Europe. But there you can go. You cannot go into too much detail then, because again, the day goes over, right? Everything changes as the day passes. But I just wanted to get the texture of these trees. Well, I'm going to skip this one. You can go into detail as well, so let me show you here. This was on a friend's farm. This was a tree standing on their lawn, actually. an indigenous tree. This is a shepherd's tree. And I sketched the tree. I sketched trees at their farm all the time. Here was a cypress roots that I sketched on that farm. And here was a detail, which is fun to do, on one of the trunks. Remember this sketch. I'll later show you how what you sketch when you practice impacts your later drawings. Remember the sketch. I will show you the impact of things like this because it shows what interests you. There's a similar one where I did part of the trunk and part of a branch and whatever else was growing on it. And I did a study of that, right? So you can pick your topic. You can pick any topic you like. Let's look at this flower. There's many ways you can start. People have many ways they like to start. You can start, for instance, with a 4H because it's very light, and then you can take the stripes away after a while if you really wanted to. Let's start with the HB. Let's look at holding the pencil. You can hold the pencil like this if you want. This is how people write. There's a few problems with this. If you hold the pencil like this and you draw for a while, you start dragging your hand through your drawing. If you do that, you're going to smear it like I did over there. So you're going to have to put a paper down in order to draw. There's another problem with holding your pencil that way, and that is that it limits your range of motion. You see, this is my full range of motion if I do that. If you draw with a pencil as if you're drawing on sand, it makes a big difference. If you hold the pencil in your fingers like this, and that gives you an entire range of motion to draw. It gives you a lot more freedom. Also gives you a lot less accuracy. So sometimes I switch back to here if I want to put the last little drop in. But I draw like this as a rule because it frees me up. All right. I'm just going to give you an idea because I want to show you what you can do with your different pencils. So we're just going to do a little bit of it, and we're not going to try too much to be exact. Don't try too much to be exact anyways. Just observe properly. Afterwards, the flower's not going to be there, is it? Who's going to know how you drew, after all? So you try it. You will see here that I'm varying my mark. Why am I varying my mark? So I'm not drawing one solid line, am I? I'm not drawing one solid line because one solid line is dead, and nature doesn't have that. Buildings have that. If you want to do that for a building, you can. I don't even do it for buildings. I don't do a solid line. I'm also not doing very comfortable drawing right now because I'm drawing with my arms around the camera. But I just want to do like 2 or 3, and then I want to show you what you can do with your different pencils and why it is so much fun to actually draw with different pencils. So we'll just do these 3. And in here is the inside, right? This one, it's almost like, it's as if the 2 leaves have become 1. It's so interesting. And then they don't come down. See, I don't know where to stop. Okay, should give you a good idea to start. So you just draw what you see in front of you. Now you can start playing. You can start playing with shadows. So let's look at, now, this one has got very deep shadows. Keep them in place. Let's look at these little itty bitty shadows, right? So they're very fine. I'm going to put my hand down for that because they're very, very fine. And I don't want freedom of movement for that. And I'm just going to do a few of those. I don't want to make them all this dark. I don't want to make them all this deep. I'm also going to make the shadow on one of the petals darker than it is in real life. And I'm going to do that because I want to show you something, okay? I want to show you how it works. So this is not as dark as you really see it, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to make an extremely dramatic drawing because you'll see there's a bit of a shadow that goes like this, right? So we're going to over dramatize this thing a little bit so that I can illustrate a few things to you. Don't worry if a line goes where you don't want it to go. It'll correct. I'll show you. So yeah, let me over dramatize a few parts of it. I'll even do it here. And I'll do one in there. And your stripe light, please. If you draw a line, you go light, dark, light. You can practice that for a while. It's a beautiful way to do a line. You can vary it in between as well, but please don't end it on a dark spot. It's kind of, if that, I'd better be standing on ground, otherwise it looks a bit strange. Okay. Now, watch what you can do. If I now go and I take, say, the 2H from here, I can almost burnish the dark. So we're going a little bit off script here, but if you look here, it's almost like I can fill it in. Can you see that? But I'm going into grayscale now. And I'm starting to use it almost like a coloring pencil. Because I'm applying it at the same pressure, but it's a harder pencil. Now, if I take the 4H, I can get even more subtle. Now, you will see that I like a kind of a random mark once I get through the linear bits that are just so. Everybody doesn't work that way. There are people who like to cross-hatch, which is a totally beautiful and valid way to work, cross-hatch. They like to do it in one direction and then in the other direction. It never came naturally to me, which is why I never did that. But it is absolutely valid. Some of the artists I admire most do it. Now what I want to show you, and I'm going to have to go to town on this little petal a little bit so that I can show you what I want to show you. Let's leave that little light that sits on the edge there. I'm going to leave that there. Whatever you do, do not color in one direction. That is very hard to overcome. Please do not do that. Alright, so now it is ready for me to show you what I'm going to do. This was with the 2H. Let me take my 4H. That was with the 4H, I thought as much. Now let me take my 2H, because that's the way I wanted to do it around. And I go into here where the shadow is a little bit darker. And I start darkening it, right? Here. I actually want to do that with a 4H. Guys, I kid you not, when I do this without a camera on me, I sit with all the pencils in my hand. It goes crazy after a while. You start getting a feel for it and it becomes like music. It's absolutely incredible. Oh, okay, I'm not going to go there for now. Let me focus. I want to show you guys this. You see how this little leaf curls up, which means I want this shadow to be a bit deeper here. Goes to the edge there. Note, this is how I draw. There are 1,020 million YouTube videos you can look at how other people draw. Everybody does not do it the same. And everybody produces really nice drawings. So don't see anything as you have to do it this way. It's one way. It works for me. I love drawing. But now watch what happens. I'm going to take the 4B now, which is the dark one. Look what happens if I now go in on the other one. It's not as dark as it was, but it gives it a bit of texture, because you see what the light pencil did was the light pencil basically burnished the paper so that the paper is now too smooth to take pencil, right? But in between there are little cracks, and those little cracks this dark one can still fill. And you get the most amazing gradation effects that are so alive, is the best way I can describe it. So alive that the entire little leaf starts coming to life. And you'll see this, I can't now do a solid dark here because of that light pencil. You see this little textured bit here? I cannot do just a dark color there. It's not possible because there is too much of the paper that was burnished by the very hard pencil, right? This is my 2H, my weapon of choice. And now I'm going to go in with my 4H. And I'm going to finish it off here. No, I want to finish that off with my 2H, not with my 4H. So that I can get more of that texture in there. Where am I? 4H. Where's that little, there's a little tip there that's dark. And then I need to take, what do I have here now? 4B in here, because right in here I want it to come into the flower. So I want to make that. See what I'm talking about? That's the kind of effect you can get if you work with more than one pencil. And it becomes a meditation. It's the best antidote to life, I can tell you that much. It is honestly the best antidote to life. And you can keep going. I think it was Van Gogh who said, you can see the universe in a leaf. And I think he was right. You can keep going with this little leaf now. And you can keep going with this little flower. Right. This is practicing your scales. And I apologize for the motorbike in the background. That must be a neighbor of mine. All right. If you practice your scales like this, with whatever topic you like doing, you can eventually create your own. And just a very quick thing on creating your own. I can one day do a session on how to create your own. People are intimidated with this white page and they go, what do I draw? If they start creating their own thing. How do I go about it? That's the beauty of creating your own. I always call them Rorschach tests. I mean, people draw what comes from inside. There are many games I play, and if you ever wanted one of the games I play is I close my eyes, I take a pencil, and I just draw a random line. Doesn't matter. Just any random line. And then I start working from there. I start looking at what does this line say to me? I turn the page around. I look at what I see in there. I look at what I find. It's a game I play so often. I can show you here a drawing I did that way. Most of them are actually in pen because oftentimes I sit and work with ballpoint pen when I do that. But there you can see a little tree that I drew by just drawing an imaginary line and then taking it from there. And this literally is on a piece of printing paper. These were minutes actually of a meeting, and I was sitting over lunchtime or something at work, and I was sketching this little tree. This one is in pen. There you can still see some of the notes. This whole little booklet is full of these little imaginative scapes. And as I said, most of them are in pen, and I can one day do a pen session as well. But eventually I started just drawing my own treescapes. As I told you, I do trees. I went from doing what I showed you through to working in nature in really big scale, like here. It doesn't even fit on this. I can try and quickly fit it as best as I can. Yeah, it's not gonna fit, but that gives you an idea. I went from doing these huge things, which you have to do incredibly fast because the sun moves, and I ended up working on stuff that are my own. This is my own. This is this is how my head looks, I guess. This is one that I started with one line, and I cannot even remember where the line was. I started it, I think, maybe with that line, possibly. And remember I showed you that one sketch and said, remember that sketch and you'll see the impact. You will see it all in here because I practiced that, and I practiced that, and I practiced that. This is the kind of thing you're working towards if you want to work towards eventual pencil sketching. If you only want a pencil sketch so that you can do something with it, paint over it or whatever, that is also fine. You still need some practice, don't you? Picasso is the one who said you've got to know the rules to break the rules. And it's a wonderful, wonderful way to spend some time, is to get to know the rules and start playing. And if it's with something like a simple coreopsis, go ahead. Whether it's a tree, whether it's your spouse sleeping on the couch, have some fun. It is the most wonderful thing to do. If you have any questions, please ask. If you have anything you want me to do next, please ask. I had great fun getting this together, and I wish you a wonderful and creative day.